Good evening, everybody. I'm going to stop playing this music again somehow. I don't know how I managed to do that. I pressed the wrong button and it started all over again. This is the most beautiful music, as you know, I always say that. And it is always, always true. So I am just going to turn it down. I hope you are all having, and that's a little bit bright as well, isn't it? Shining in Joanna's eyes as she reads. Shining in Joanna's, that's better. Shining in Joanna's eyes as she reads. And that is not a good thing. Good evening, everybody. It is such a pleasure to be with you this evening. I hope you are very well and the Thursday finds you in a good place today. For those of you who don't know, my name is Joanna Godwin-Seidl. I am the director of Vienna Theatre Project, and tonight I will be hosting the reading of 1001 Nights. My dog Georgie, who some of you will have met yesterday, is lying comfortably on my couch where he shouldn't be, but he knows that I'm not going to get up and tell him to get off now. And I am sitting comfortably too. I have some beautiful incense burning in the background. It is a love incense. So let's hope that our story starts to go very well today, because yesterday it was looking a bit desperate. And let's hope the love incense influences today's beautiful story and we find happiness in what is going on in the world of Ali Bakar and Shams al-Nazar. Let's see. Okay, candles are burning. We're ready to go. Are you all sitting comfortably? Then if you are, then let us start with the reading of 1001 Arabian Nights. Okay. Now, when it was the 139th 164th night. Shahrazad said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the jeweller heard these words, he returned to his other house where he dwelt, and said to himself, Indeed, this has befallen me is what Abu al-Hasan feared, and from which he fled to Basra, and now I have fallen into it." Presently, the pillage of his pleasure house was noised abroad among the folk, and they came to him from all sides and places, some exulting in his misfortune, and others excusing him and condoling him with his sorrow, whilst he bewailed himself to them on for grief. Neither ate meat nor drank drink. As he sat repenting of what he had done, behold, one of his servants came in to him and said, "There is a person at your door who asketh for thee, and I know him not." The jeweller went forth to him and saluted him who was a stranger, and the man whispered to him, "I have somewhat to say between our two selves." Thereupon he brought him in and asked him, "What hast thou to tell me?" Quoth the man, "Come with me to thine other house." And the jeweller inquired, "Dost thou then know my other house?" Replied the other, "I know all about thee, and I know that also whereby Allah will dispel thy douleurs." So I said to myself, continued the jeweller, "I will go with him whither he will," and went out and walked on till we came to my second house. And when the man saw it, he said to me, "It is without door or doorkeeper. We cannot possibly sit in it. So come thou with me to another place." Then the man continued, passing from stead to stead, and I with him, till night overtook us. Yet I put no question to him of the matter in hand, and we ceased not to walk on till we reached the open country. He kept saying, "Follow me," and quickened his pace to a trot, whilst I trotted after him, heartening my heart to go on, until we reached the river, where he took boat with me, and the boatman rowed us over to the other bank. When he landed from the boat, and I landed after him, and he took my hand and led me to a street which I had never entered in all my days, nor do I know in what quarter it was. Presently the man stopped at the door of a house and opened it, entered, and made me enter with him. After which he locked the door with an iron padlock and led me along the vestibule till he brought me in the presence of 10 men who were as though they were one and the same man, they being brothers. We saluted them, continued the jeweller, and they returned our greeting and bade us be seated. So we sat down. Now, I was like to die for excess of weariness. But they brought me rose water and sprinkled it on my face, after which they gave me a sherbet to drink and set before me food, whereof some of them ate with me. Quoth I to myself, were there aught harmful in the food, they would not eat with me. So I ate, and when we had washed our hands, each of us returned to his place. Then he asked me, dost thou know us? And I answered, no, nor in my life have I ever seen you. Nay, I know not even him who brought me hither. Said they, tell us thy tidings, and lie not at all. Replied I, know then that my case is wondrous, and my affair marvellous. But wot ye anything about me? They rejoined, yes, it was we took thy goods yesternight, and carried off thy friend and her who was singing to him. Quoth I, Allah let down his veil over you. Where be my friend and she who was singing to him? They pointed with their hands to one side and replied, yonder. But by Allah, our brother, the secret of their case is known to none save to thee. For from the time we brought the twain hither up to this day, we have not looked upon them nor questioned of their condition, seeing them to be persons of rank and dignity. Now, this and this only is what that hindered our killing them. So tell us the truth of their case, and thou shalt be assured of thy safety and of theirs. When I heard this, continued the jeweller, I almost died of fright and horror. And I said to them, know ye, O brethren, that if generosity were lost, it would not be found save with you. And had I a secret which I feared to reveal, none but your breasts would conceal it. And I went on exaggerating their praises in this fashion, till I saw that frankness and readiness to speak out would profit me more than concealing facts. So I told them all that had betided me to the very end of the tale. When they heard it, they said, and is this young man Ali Bakar's son, and this lady Shams al-Nahar? I replied, yes. Now this was grievous to them, and they rose and made their excuses to the two, and then said to me, of what we took from thy house, part is spent, but there is what is left of it. So speaking, they gave me back most of my goods, and they engaged to return them to their places in my house, and to restore me the rest as soon as they could. My heart was set at ease, till they split into two parties, one with me, and the other against me. And we fared forth from that house, and such was my case. But as regards Ali bin Bakar and Shams al-Nahar, they were well nigh dying for excess of fear, when I went up to them and saluting them said, and asked, what happened to the damsel and the two maids? Where be they gone? And they answered only, we know nothing of them. Then we walked on and stinted not till we came to the river bank where the bark lay, and we all boarded it, for it was the same which had brought me over on the day before. The boatman rowed us to the other side, but hardly had we landed and taken seat on the bank to rest, when a troop of horse swooped down on us like eagles and surrounded us on all sides and places. Whereupon the robbers with us sprang up in haste like vultures, and the boat put back for them and took them in, and the boatman pushed off into midstream, leaving us on the river bank, unable to do more or stand still or move even. Then the chief horseman said to us, "Whence be ye?" And we were perplexed for an answer. But I said, continued the jeweller, "Those ye see all with us are rogues, and we know them not. As for us, we are singers, and they intended taking us to sing for them. Nor could we get free of them, save by subtlety and soft words. So on this occasion they let us go, their works being such as you have seen." But they looked at Shams al-Nahar and Ali bin Bakar and said to me, "Thou hast not spoken sooth. But if thy tale be true, tell us who you are, and whence ye are, and what be your place, and in what quarter you dwell." I knew what not to answer them, but Shams al-Nahar sprang up, and approaching the captain of the horsemen, spoke with him privily. Whereupon he dismounted from his steed, and, setting her on horseback, took the bridle and began to lead his beast. And to his men did the like with the youth, Ali bin Bakar, and it was the same with myself. The commandant of the troop ceased not faring on with us till they reached a certain part of the riverbank, when he sang out in some barbarous jargon, and there came to us a number of men with 2 boats. Then the captain embarked us in one of them, and he with us, whilst the rest of his men put off in the other, and rowed on with us till we arrived at the palace of the Caliphate, where Shams al-Nahar landed. And all the while we endured the agonies of death for excess of fear, and they ceased not faring till they came to a place whence there was a way to our quarter. Here we landed and walked on, escorted by some of the horsemen, till we came to Ali bin Bakar's house, and when we entered it, our escort took leave of us and went their way. We abode there, unable to stir from the place, and not knowing the difference between morning and evening. And in such case we continued till the dawn of the next day. And when it was again nightfall, I came to myself and saw Ali bin Bakar and the women and men of his household weeping over him, for he was stretched out without sense or motion. Some of them came to me, and thoroughly arousing me, said, "Tell us what have befallen our son, and say how came he to be in this plight?" Replied I, "O folk, hearken to me." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day, and ceased saying her permitted say. And when it was the 165th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king," that the jeweller answered them, "O folk, hearken to my words, and give me no trouble and annoyance, but be patient, and he will come to and tell you his tale for himself." And I was hard upon them, and made them afraid of a scandal between me and them. But as we were thus, behold, Ali bin Bakar moved on his carpet bed, whereat his friends rejoiced, and the stranger folk withdrew from him. But his people forbade me to go away. Then they sprinkled rose water on his face, and he presently revived and sensed the air. Whereupon they questioned him of his case, and he essayed to answer them, but his tongue could not speak forthright, and he signed to them. And the maids, and I, dear friends, managed to miss out a page. Excuse me for a second. That is live reading, folks. And let's start again, shall we? And he signed to them, he signed to them to let me go home. So they let me go, and I went forth hardly, crediting my escape, and returned to my own house, supported by 2 men. When my people saw me thus, they rose up and set to shrieking and slapping their faces. But I signed to them with my hand to be silent, and they were silent. Then the 2 men went their way, and I threw myself down on my bed, where I lay the rest of the night, and awoke not till the forenoon, when I found my people gathered around me, and saying, "What calamity befell thee? And what evil with its mischief did fall thee?" Quoth I, "Bring me somewhat to drink." So they brought me drink, and I drank of it what I would, and said to them, "What happened, happened." Thereupon they went away, and I made my excuses to my friends, and asked if any of the goods that had been stolen from my other house had been returned. They answered, "Yes, some of them have come back," by token that a man entered and threw them down within the doorway, and we saw him not. So I comforted myself, and abode in my place 2 days, unable to rise and leave it. And presently I took courage and went to the bath, for I was worn out with fatigue and troubled in my mind for Ali bin Bakkar and Shams al-Nahar, because I had no news of them all this time, and could neither get to Ali's house, nor, out of fear for my life, take my rest in mine own. And I repeated to Almighty Allah of what I had done, and praised him for my safety. Presently, my fancy suggested to me to go to such and such a place, and see the folk, and solace myself. So I went on foot to the cloth market, and sat a while with a friend of mine there. When I rose to go, I saw a woman standing over against me. So I looked at her, and lo, it was Shams al-Nahar's slave girl. When I saw her, the world grew dark in my eyes, and I hurried on. She followed me, but I was seized with a fright and fled from her. And wherever I looked at her, a trembling came over me whilst she pursued me, saying, "Stop, that I may tell thee somewhat." When I heeded her not, and never ceased walking till I reached a mosque, and she entered after me, I prayed a 2-browed prayer, after which I turned to her, and signing said, "What dost thou want?" She asked me how I did, and I told her all that had befallen myself and Ali bin Bakkar, and besought her for news of herself. She answered, "Know that when I saw the robbers break open thy door and rush in, I was in such terror, for I doubted not but they were the Caliph's officers, and would seize me and my mistress, and we would perish forthright. So we fled over the roofs, and I and the maids, and casting ourselves down from the high place, came upon some people with whom we took refuge. And they received us and brought us to the palace of the Caliphate, where we arrived in the sorriest of plights. We concealed our case and abode on coals of fire till nightfall, when I opened the river gate, and calling the boatman who had carried us the night before, said to him, I know not what has become of my mistress. So take me in the boat, that we may go seek her on the river. Happily, I shall chance on some news of her. Accordingly, he took me in the boat, and went about with me, and ceased not wending till midnight, when I spied a bark making towards the watergate, with one man rowing, and another standing up, and a woman lying prostrate between them twain. And they rowed on till they reached the shore, when the woman landed, and I looked at her, and behold, it was Shams al-Nahar. Thereupon I got out and joined her, dazed for joy to see her after having lost all hopes of finding her alive. And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Dear friends, it was an absolute pleasure reading for you, as I said before I started the reading. I hope you all have a beautiful day. If your day is just starting, a beautiful afternoon, a beautiful evening. And if you are like us tonight, going into the night, then I wish you very, very beautiful dreams. Many blessings from me. Have a great day tomorrow. Sweet dreams, many slams. And I'm going to say a very sweet good night tonight, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Good night.